So many of us know by now the co-founders of the Black Lives Matter organization, Alicia Garza, Opal Tometi, and Patrisse Cullors. Patrisse Cullors was recorded in 2015 admitting, we are trained Marxists. People like myself and others, I'm not the only one, but we have been saying from the beginning that this BLM organization is a Marxist organization.
You know, during times like this, I wonder if any of these people can actually explain what Marxism is. Alrighty guys, hopefully we're going to have a much more lighthearted video today, at least that is the hope. So, if you're new here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon so that you can know when new episodes come out, assuming the YouTube algorithm will actually send those episodes out to anybody. And before we get into the actual video itself, as usual, let's go ahead and get into the fan art section. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is a Neko Suris by Arioria, and then the next thing we're going to be looking at is a Magical Girl Suris by Bumblin' Bee, and then finally we have a T-Posing Suris by Whelp. As always, thank you all for your fan art submissions, and let's get right into the video.
For Christians, I have been saying for quite some time that we don't need some Marxist, anti-Christ, anti-family, anti-man organization to tell us how we should love our neighbor.
Boy, there's a lot to unpack in that statement. I don't want to assume anything about what he's saying, so I'm just going to let the video continue. Right, as I hit the record button, this bean decided that it's cuddle time.
We have a constitution. It has 66 books. Written over 3 continents, 3 primary languages. That we don't need some organization to tell us how we need to love our neighbor.
Okay. I mean, if you want to treat the Bible like a constitution, that's perfectly fine, but you might want to go ahead and check and see if it has any contradictions or consistency issues first. You might want to also make sure it's not written by, like, a genocidal maniac who would potentially do anything so heinous as, I don't know, flood the entire world, killing everybody, including innocent children. Offer up his son as a blood sacrifice because of rules that he wrote himself. Do that one thing that everybody agrees is immoral, but it's okay when God does it. Punish the son for the sins of the father. Like, seriously, do you really think you should be building any legal system based on principles where original sin can even be considered? Also, didn't God love his neighbor oh so much that he created a lake of fire that, even though many Christians try to tell me, wasn't intended for sinners, since God is omniscient and he knew that the end result of creating the lake of fire would be used for sinners? It doesn't matter that he intended it or not. It's like stabbing somebody in the back. You may not intend on hurting them, but you knew that the motion would cause pain. You know, I don't think any constitution written by that guy is gonna be a framework that I actually want to work under.
We actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists.
There you have it. We are trained Marxist.
All right. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, can you actually describe what a Marxist is? Because that might actually let me know whether or not I should consider anything you say going forward.
We are trained Marxists. Now, do you understand what's going on? What we are witnessing is a copy and paste of the Bolshevik Revolution from Russia, just applied into an American context.
Okay, so you know that during the Bolshevik Revolution, a bloodless coup d'etat was taken against the monarchy in Russia? Like, you can have your ideological issues with Lenin, who led the Bolshevik Party into that, and that's perfectly fine, but that's not necessarily what's happening here.
In Russia, they didn't have a history of skin color-based divisions, chattel slavery, and things of that nature to cause foment unrest in the country. But what Marxists do is they seek to utilize whatever may be available to foment the unrest, because people will voluntarily, in times of chaos, cede freedoms they were never allowed to be relinquished otherwise.
So what Marxists do generally is identify areas of class conflict, not necessarily try to sow them themselves. This is because through the lens of Marxism, you can generally look at several critiques on capitalism and how it affects labor, and how it disproportionately alienates people who live in minority classes. They don't just sow division so that they can gain control. If that were the case, then you wouldn't have any Marxists who are informed by Kropotkin who actually believe in a more anarchistic form of society.
That it is endemic to human nature that mankind is more than willing to exchange liberties for protection when they are afraid.
That's a very interesting critique coming from the guy who's arguing for a theology that effectively exchanges all personal liberties in the form of servitude to a deity. Consider the afterlife in Christian theology. Does free will exist in heaven? No. If you try to argue that free will exists in heaven, then I can come up with a myriad of things that you will not be able to do in heaven, thus infringing on your free will. I'm not trying to make a tu quoque argument here, saying that you're wrong because you happen to have a very similar ideology. I'm saying you're wrong, and also your ideology makes you a hypocrite.
Okay. Today's show is we're not going to focus so much on their Marxism.
Probably for the best. I doubt you could actually even define that word.
I want you to know that the BLM organization's founders, they're trained in more than Marxism. I'll explain it to you the way that they explain it themselves. Let me get this quote. Patrisse Cullors, the one you just heard, they are saying that she's a trained Marxist and that she and other BLM co-founders are trained Marxists. She says, quote, there are many spiritualities. She said, quote, I'm calling for spirituality to be deeply radical. We're not just having a social justice movement. This is a spiritual movement. End quote. Spiritual movement. What does she mean by that?
I don't know, but I'm sure you're going to tell us your straw man of it.
I'm so glad you asked. I'll start in all of the audio I'm about to share with you now. I see the disrespectful clock, so this is going to carry over to the next segment. Is a Zoom-like conversation between two women. One of them is named Dr. Melina Abdullah, that she is a professor of African Studies at California State University, Los Angeles. She's having a Zoom-type conversation with Patrisse Cullors. Let me welcome you into their little conversation where she admits, maybe I'm saying too much. Listen to Dr. Melina Abdullah, who's also, in addition to being a professor at California State University, Los Angeles, she's also the founder of the BLM Los Angeles chapter of the organization. Please play clip number 1.
Maybe I'm sharing too much, but we become very intimate with the spirits that we call on regularly, right? Like each of them seems to have a different presence and personality. I laugh a lot with Waukesha, and I didn't meet her in her body, right? I met her through this work.
Oh Lord, she said she laughs a lot with Waukesha, who she didn't meet in her body.
Okay. You do understand that that is functionally no different than how you see prayer, right? Like, this is one of those things that's weird to me. When I point something like this out, usually to a Christian, their answer is, the difference is, our God is real, our God is a living God. Almost as if you don't understand what you would actually need to do to determine if that God is real. I'm an atheist. I don't think any gods are real. I don't believe they're real. However, I do know many theists who do believe their gods are real, and believe me, to them, their gods are as real as your God. In fact, many of them consider your God real just as their gods are real, and they have no problem with you communing with yours. Personally, I'd like to see us in a society where Christianity isn't considered the norm, where any spirituality or lack thereof that someone happens to have would be considered completely and totally normal. Now the question is, can you say the same? Do you want a pluralistic society where everyone can be who they want to be or who they need to be? Or do you need a society where everybody is what you need them to be, personally?
Well, where'd you meet? You laughing with Waukesha, where did y'all meet? You're going to find that Dr. Abdullah and Patrisse Cullors talks about summoning the spirits of the dead, using the power of the spirits of the dead in order to give them the ability to do what they're calling the so-called justice work. You're going to find that what they're describing is their adherence to the Yoruba religion of Ifa or Ifa.
Cool. Is it any stranger than worshiping a dead Jewish guy from 2,000 years ago? Who is, also responsible for the deaths of millions.
To where they are summoning dead spirits. If you think I'm laughing, because you might have heard many people saying, oh, you're making all of this noise about Black Lives Matter. It's just a hashtag. Oh, really? Listen to clip number 4. This is Patrisse Cullors.
Before you get into that clip, I hope you, as a member of a Christian organization, can understand why if there are certain people who consider themselves supporters of Black Lives Matter, who don't necessarily consider themselves supporters of individual leaders of certain areas of certain groups, that's a perfectly reasonable stance to have. If you don't believe me, then I guess you are represented by Kent Hovind and Ken Ham. Perfectly fine. I don't know what your particular theological stance is, but if they don't float your boat, then maybe you're okay being represented by Steven Anderson. And if he doesn't float your boat, maybe you're okay being represented by Kenneth Copeland, or Pat Robinson, or any other number of these people. And if you try to argue that these people don't in fact represent you, then my question to you would be, how do you then get to dictate how people who support BLM don't feel like they're represented by other people in an organization as well?
It's a very important practice. Hashtags are, for us, are way more than a hashtag. It is literally almost resurrecting a spirit so they can work through us to get the work that we need to get done. I started to feel personally connected and responsible and accountable to them, both from a deeply political place, but also from a deeply spiritual place. And always, in my tradition, you offer things that your loved one who passed away would want, whether it's like honey or tobacco, things like that. And it's so important, not just for us to be in direct relationship to our people who've passed, but also for them to know we've remembered them. I believe so many of them work through us.
Not only is it hilarious to just watch a whole bunch of stuck-up conservative Christians listening to a bunch of people who have a different spirituality than them and be abhorred, it's also equally hilarious to watch the guy sitting there disrespecting them by going, sorry, it's one of those things that really pisses me off whenever I'm watching a debate, and you've got somebody listening to their person's side going, like he's that fucking Donald Trump meme.
Now, in case you're wondering who that is speaking, that is Patrisse Cullors, co-founder of the Black Lives Matter organization, the same one you just heard saying, we are trained Marxists. She is describing that, you thought it was just a hashtag. It's more than hashtags. We are summoning our people from the dead. She said, in our tradition. What tradition is that? Where you offer things to people, and as a result of summoning them so frequently, we begin to develop a relationship where I become close with them.
Tons of traditions believe they can commune with the dead, including yours. You have a different name for it, and you have a different apologetic for it, saying that, it's a living God, but believe me, the particulars may be different, but the functions are exactly the same. Also, remember when I did my anti-SJW video, the one where I stopped being an anti-SJW? One of the things I brought up in that video was thought-terminating cliches, and I feel like that's really applicable here. You keep on saying that they have a different spirituality, or that they are Marxists, and you're hoping that the people in your audience already assume Marxism means bad, so that this thought-terminating cliche can be used and prevent them from actually considering anything about the opposing side. You're also heavily misrepresenting them, because one of the things that is said in that audio is that to them it is more than a hashtag, and then you go, aha! It's summoning spirits! It's the evil! It's whatever you want to say it is. But here's the thing. Let me go ahead and give you an example that is almost identical to that. To you, my channel is just that, a channel. It might be entertainment, but to me, it's my career. It's what I do as a job. It's what I do full-time to support me and my family. Things can mean different things to different people. It doesn't mean that suddenly you watching my channel is participating in my career. I'm participating in my career, and to you, it is entertainment. Just like your talk show that you're engaging in right now is likely something different to you than it is to me. BLM can be a hashtag to some people, an enemy to others, and more than a hashtag to the originators.
See, you thought it was just a hashtag. How many of the people that are turning out for these rallies, these marches, how many of them do you think know that it's more than a hashtag? Don't go anywhere. There's more.
So in my previous part, I did grant that you could be just a hashtag to one person and then something to another, but this time let me go ahead and take a different tact. The tact that says, I don't think that anybody participating at any protest of any kind is protesting because of a hashtag. People who go and protest at rallies don't just go and say, it's just a hashtag, bro. No, they can give you explicit reasons why they are there. Each one of them is going to give you reasons of a different articulation and a different level of knowledge, so I wouldn't suggest going there with a microphone and just trying to participate in a gotcha moment, Steven Crowder or Ben Shapiro style.
There is more, there is more. She is describing their adherence to the Yoruba religion called Odu Ifa. O-D-U-I-F-A, that one of the touchstones of this religious practice is ancestral worship. Guess what the Bible calls that, folks? Witchcraft.
And that is because the authors of the Bible know just as much about witchcraft as you do, which is absolutely none. I've said in earlier videos, if you would like to know anything about witchcraft, I can talk to a few witches for you. I can even bring them on to speak with you. I'm sure they'd have no problem educating you. But you know, the last person I covered said that rebellion was witchcraft, so I'm pretty sure I've already found my expert.
They're not only trained in Marxism, in which, by the way, if you don't know this, Marx himself was a pagan Satanist.
Okay, so you know that Marx's view on religion was that it was the opiate of the masses, and that Marx himself was not a pagan nor a Satanist. In the description below, you're going to find the entire article on Karl Marx from the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and it actually does go over his views on religion. You're not going to find the words pagan or Satanist or anything in there, even if you use a Control F. But I would highly recommend combing through it, because Marx's particular ideologies, while not entirely congruent with my own, are still really interesting to read about. So not only do you not know what witchcraft is, you don't know what Karl Marx believed, which I already suspected from the beginning, you don't know what a pagan is, you don't know what a Satanist is, and honestly, this is just hilarious.
So they ain't really that far off the map, saying they're trained Marxists and dabbling in a bit of witchcraft. And they wanted you to believe early on that it was just a hashtag.
Wait. Which one was it? Was it that they wanted you to believe it was just a hashtag? Or was it that it was something more than a hashtag to them? Because you said both of those things. Which is it? Is it just whichever one happens to be true is the one that's convenient to your narrative? Is that what it is? Because, like, I'm pretty used to that, and that's what I would assume, but I don't know. Maybe you'll actually be willing to have a conversation about that at some point your own.
Well, if you thought that's what it was, Patrice Cullors disabused you of that notion rather quickly. Let's play that audio again where she said, no, it's not just hashtags. We're resurrecting spirits so they can work through us. Clip number 4.
Video's already getting long. You can rewind it if you really want to listen to that part of the audio again. But no, they're not saying that BLM is resurrecting spirits so they can work through us. They said that they think that the way that they get the energy that they can engage in social justice work is through being empowered by their spirits. No differently, mind you, than when a Christian says that it's the Spirit of the Lord that told them that they needed to invest in the stock market, or that they needed to use certain lottery numbers, or that they needed to start a ministry. It's no different. It is functionally identical, but because it's from a different religion, suddenly it's bad to you.
I want you to listen to Melina Abdullah, where she describes what happens when they gather. It's clip number 2.
When we come out into the streets and we pray, you know, the first thing that we do when we hear of a murder is we come out, we pray, we pour a libation, we build with the community where the person's life was stolen. And it took almost a year for me to realize that this movement is much more than a racial and social justice movement. At its core, it's a spiritual movement, because we're literally standing on spilled blood, right?
Yeah.
And you can't pretend like that's work that's just like some organizing work. That's, you know, that's some serious stuff, right?
You can't pretend it's some organizing work. But wait, I thought they were just community organizing.
Yeah. All community organizing is more than community organizing. All community organizing is for the functional purpose of achieving some goal. If I organize a community into my living space, likely I'm doing it for the purpose of starting a LAN party or having a card game tournament. Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Magic, Weiss, it doesn't matter. All community organizing is more than just community organizing. Community organizing is the verb that gets you to the goal. This is seriously just a series of thought-terminating cliches. He goes, oh, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? It's more than community organizing. Well, yeah, of course it's more than community organizing, like all community organizing is. That doesn't matter. That doesn't mean anything. That's not a gotcha. This is a gotcha.
That's what you thought. But wait, there's more. Clip 3.
When we say the names, right? So we speak their names, we say her name, say their names. We do that all the time, that you kind of invoke that spirit, and then those spirits actually become present with you.
Did y'all hear that? Now y'all see all of this, the NBA, all on the jersey, say her name. They're not doing what you think they're doing. You think they're just honoring people. They are conjuring up spirits.
So this is, again, and I hate to keep doing this, this is, again, functionally no different than the Christian idea that your ancestors can look down on you from heaven. When you do something that would make them proud and they're smiling at you from in the skies, that's that. It's the same concept. It's identical. It is the same thing. You're projecting. You are upset that another religion has a claim on spirituality that is functionally identical than yours, but because it uses language that is oh so slightly different, it's spooky. You are so desperate to create an enemy who's not just an enemy of you, but who's an enemy of your deity, that you're willing to construct anybody into a corner, even if that corner looks functionally identical to your corner. You are willing to cut off your nose despite your face, because every criticism you've levied so far is something that can be so easily applied to you that all it would take is your audience engaging in the smallest bit of scrutiny for your audience to realize that you're standing on a house of cards.
There's one particular rally that Dr. Abdullah was conducting, and where she repeatedly required, and I'm not going to say the phrase that she used, but would require the audience in a call and response type fashion to chant a name, and then she would respond with a Yoruba phrase. See, in this particular religion, and as I understand it, it includes an ethnicity, a religion, and a language. But I'm talking about the religious aspects of it, to where there's a supreme pagan deity, then beneath them there's a pantheon of pagan deities called orishas. And this is the same demonic activity, by the way, that Beyonce is channeling on that Black is King thing that Disney's put it out, by the way.
Again, just like the pantheon of gods that are described in the Old Testament and the Bible. I don't know what Beyonce's doing. I don't care. But I will speak about this pantheon nonsense. Not only are other gods expressly described in the Bible, but the idea of angels are, again, functionally no different than minor deities. Here's a fun thing to try in the comment section. Describe the difference between God and angels without appealing to either their specific powers or their place on any particular hierarchy. And please, try not to trip on the Euthyphro dilemma on your way out.
But you know what we do? Anything that's practiced, we evaluate it in light of Scripture.
Everything is evaluated through that? Okay, so instead of making this point myself, I'm just going to go ahead and play a clip from The West Wing and hope that YouTube doesn't copyright me, since I am using this to demonstrate a point.
I like how you call homosexuality an abomination.
I don't say homosexuality is an abomination, Mr. President. The Bible does.
Yes, it does. Leviticus
18:22.
chapter and verse. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions while I had you here. I'm interested in selling my youngest daughter into slavery as sanctioned in Exodus 21:7. She's a Georgetown sophomore, speaks fluent Italian, always cleared the table when it was her turn. What would a good price for her be? While thinking about that, can I ask another? My chief of staff, Leo McGarry, insists on working on the Sabbath. Exodus 35:2 clearly says he should be put to death. Am I morally obligated to kill him myself, or is it okay to call the police? Here's one that's really important, because we've got a lot of sports fans in this town. Touching the skin of a dead pig makes one unclean, Leviticus 11:7. If they promise to wear gloves, can the Washington Redskins still play football? Can Notre Dame? Can West Point? Does the whole town really have to be together to stone my brother John for planting different crops side by side? Can I burn my mother in a small family gathering for wearing garments made from 2 different threads? Think about those questions, would you? One last thing. While you may be mistaking this for your monthly meeting of the ignorant tight-ass club, in this building when the president stands, nobody sits.
That's all. I just wanted to show the clip for that particular point instead of articulating it myself.
Come go with me to Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 9 through 12. The Word of God says this, and this is the Lord speaking to the Israelites as they were approaching the promised land. It says this, when you enter the land which the Lord your God gives you, you shall not learn to imitate the detestable or abominable things of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or daughter pass through the fire to Molech, one who uses divination, one who practices witchcraft, or one who interprets omens or a sorcerer, or one who casts a spell, or a medium or a spiritist, one who calls up the dead. For whoever does these things is detestable to the Lord.
So when God says not to throw people in a fire, isn't that exactly what he does when he throws people in hell? And when God says don't practice divination, isn't that exactly what God does 24/7 since he's omniscient? When God says don't engage in sorcery or conjuring, there's functionally no difference between God's power and magic. And as far as conjuring is concerned, that's basically what bringing everything into existence from nothing is. That's conjuring. Literally, everything your God is telling people not to do are the things that they are A, incapable of doing, and B, the things that he does. And by the way, that doesn't just stop there. When we're talking about raising people from the dead or communing with the dead, that's what God does all the time, either with Jesus or with Lazarus. It doesn't matter. It is the exact same thing that he engages in. This is a giant boat of hypocrisy, a giant boat of do as I say, not as I do, and anybody that's actually been part of a chain of command knows that that is a bullshit excuse. If the best you can do in this podcast is misrepresent what witchcraft is, misrepresent what Marxism is, say that Karl Marx was a theist of any variety, or even held a religion, if the best you can do is show that you haven't researched anything besides your own book, and even when it comes to your own book, you don't understand it enough to understand when you're being blatantly hypocritical, then I don't have any reason to watch the rest of your video. All, 3 minutes that's left of it? If you guys in the comment section want to watch it, then it's going to be in the description as per usual, but I don't see a reason why I have to. I don't think you're going to somehow do a Hail Mary at the end of this, and suddenly everything is going to be fine. Everything you misrepresented, everything you said, every false thing that was in this video is suddenly going to be corrected in the last 3 minutes? I doubt it. But if suddenly he does have a Hail Mary moment and everything is better and hunky-dory and perfect, then go watch their video and let me know in the comment section below if the status quo somehow got upended and changed. But I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening based off everything I've seen in this video, and I don't think I owe it to him to find out. What I think we found is that this particular Christian, regardless of where he sits on the political spectrum, doesn't know what Marxism is and yet wants to critique it. Doesn't know what witchcraft is and yet wants to critique it. Doesn't know what his interlocutors believe and yet he wants to critique it. Where Christianity is concerned, I grew up with it for 18 years. I was in a private school studying it constantly. I understand it. When I offer a critique of Christianity, it is not from the outside in. It is more often an internal critique of what I originally believed. The things that deconstructed me away from my faith, just being presented in a different format. My intent isn't to virtue signal when I say this, but I don't see that same kind of consistency coming out of this guy. Now, I do see that he did some research, yes, but the end result of that research just ended in a bunch of more misrepresentation, where the only way he could view somebody else's religion was through the lens of Christianity, where it is supposedly monotheistic and those other gods have to be false. I'm an atheist. it. I understand that lens very well. I can look at any religion through the lens of, well, your God's not real, so why should I listen to it? But that's not what I'm going to do, because there's more to religion than that. If there are things to critique, I'm not just going to say, you're wrong because God not real. There are other reasons why you're wrong, because quite often it is the case that when somebody is engaging with a faulty foundation, there are other things they're getting wrong. And when you are engaging in the position where your God must be real, and every God must be false if they are not your God, and anybody who is not a Christian must be going to hell, and must deserve it, and that must be a righteous thing, then you're likely going to come to some pretty awful conclusions, which I think are evidenced in this video. But with all that said, I hope you guys did at least enjoy the video critique. It wasn't anywhere near as heavy-handed as the video from Monday, so hopefully that is at least a benefit. If you guys would like further reading, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy article on Karl Marx is in the description below, like I said, so hopefully that is something you will find engaging. But I do have a favor to ask all of you, if possible. It's actually two favors. The first favor is for Jacandquill, who is the artist behind my current avatar. He is still behind on the repair fund for his vehicle, so if you guys can check in the description below, the PayPal link to that will be there. If you guys have anything that you're able to give, then please do so. I would be incredibly thankful for you if you did. The second favor, the other content creator, is Aliakai, who you've seen appear on my channel a couple of times. She's also helped with research on certain videos, but she has a video that is currently being ratioed by a bunch of people called folkists, and for those who don't know, they're basically Nazi pagans. If you would like to know more about that and would like to help out where Aliakai is concerned, then please check in the description or at the end of the video. There will be a link to both Ocean Keltoys and Aliakai's videos on folkism, going over what they are, who they do. That's not what I meant, but those videos will be in the description below and at the end of the video so that you can be informed on that. And also, if you can maybe leave a like on Aliakai's video so that she can get unratioed, that would be awesome. But since we are at the end of the video, you are now at the Patron slide section. These are the slides for everybody who supports the channel and lets me do what I do. You've heard me say this spiel 1,000 times, but as per usual, please thank them in the comment section below if you get a chance, because without them, this channel is not able to do what it does in any of the capacity that I engage in. Tomorrow is Thursday. We will be able to do another League of Legends group stream, so if that is a thing that you want to do, if you would like to play video games with me on the channel, then we will be able to do that tomorrow, unless you're watching this Thursday, in which case we're in the future. Yay! Time travel! That's not how this works. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see y'all tomorrow, and as always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here.